Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, persistent demand pressures for dollar would continue to weigh negatively on Cedi's performance this week, as year-to-date depreciation of local currency stands at 3%. Also coming up, World Bank awaits Parliament's approval to aid transfer of $300 million budget support for Ghana. And in a few hours, to Valentine's Day, we'll find out how things are shaping up in the hospitality sector in a tough economic environment. My name is Daryl. Kwawu. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. All right, that was your look at the currency market. We begin with currency news. The persistent demand pressures for the dollar would continue to weigh negatively on the Cedi's performance this week. This follows a marginal depreciation of the local currency last week, taking its year-to-date loss to about 3%. Here's more in this report.
Elevated demand continued to inhibit the Cedi's performance last week, causing it to weaken across the major trading currencies. Central banks supported the market $3 billion, but this was substantial enough to keep the local currency afloat as it shed 0.6% week on week against the American greenback to 12 cedis 53 pesos to $1 at the week's close. The local unit also depreciated 0.16% versus the pound, but gained 0.19% against the euro. Global creditors and rating agencies convened a meeting last week to discuss the impact of rating agencies on some debt-distressed nations, including Ghana. The meeting focused on how actions from rating agencies have exacerbated borrowing costs after successfully restructuring debt. Analysts believe a positive revision to the rating method for the debt-distressed countries by these agencies would be positive for investor confidence in Ghana and improve the Cedi's outlook in the medium term. Nonetheless, the pressure on the Cedi is expected to continue.
All right, economic analyst with Data Bank Research, Kwawu joins me on Zoom to discuss this. I just want us to establish a trend since the beginning of the year. We've seen a marginal depreciation with a year-to-date loss of about 3%. Give us some insight as we try to make sense of the surge in dollar demand.
Demand, and it has mainly been fueled by demand from the corporate side, especially looking at energy sector demand to settle some letters of credit, as well as demand from the agri and manufacturing sectors generally. So I think what we also saw was that the early portion of the year, due to the U.S. Fed's slow speak on the expected policy pivots in terms of monetary policy, we were seeing the markets reprice and try to flock towards the USD still, as the central bank in US noted that they may have to hold rates a bit for maybe the last meeting or the next two meetings around that area. And as such, these have been the major drivers of depreciation generally this year.
Well, some analysts we have spoken to have said there is no cause for alarm yet. Do you share the same sentiments?
Oh yes, I would say so, because what would be the cause for alarm would really be huge speculative attacks on our cedi, which we are not seeing now. The depreciations are quite slower and gentler, and as I mentioned, they are mainly from the seasonal corporate demand or the usual corporate demand pressures. And as such, though we are seeing this depreciation, it's not really a look of gloom and doom on the cedi so far.
Some analysts are pointing to actions from rating agencies that have exacerbated borrowing costs, essentially saying creditor groups have not responded favorably to debt restructuring deals, and that has impacted on confidence. What do you make of that?
I think generally the consensus from the G20, the IMF, the World Bank, and also some of the emerging markets economists have been that rating activities or rating actions haven't corresponded with the debt relief most of these debt distressed countries seek under that debt service suspension initiative, that's the DSSI, introduced to help in these discussions around debt. And as such, with that, it makes it quite difficult for these debt distressed economies to access the commercial side of the market for more inflows or for more funding purposes. And even if they do have access, given the negative activity or actions they see on that side, it's likely to lead into higher borrowing costs, which is then just reaffirming the debt distress situation. So I think that was mainly what the discussion hovered around, the roundtable discussion. I think the next one will be around March, where they will continue to look at the comparability of treatments on debt and so on and so forth, just to see how a possible revision in this methodology to reflect some of the debt reliefs these countries, including Ghana, obtain, how that should possibly impact their ratings position, and how that would also filter through to borrowing and access of the international capital markets.
Well, I don't know how likely a revision will be. I don't think it's very likely that would happen, but how would that positively affect the cedi's performance?
So I think generally it might not be say a thorough revision of the entire procedure. However, I think some factors may have to be considered into getting or arriving at these ratings actions or activities. Given ratings responding positively to these debt relief initiatives as initiated, then we are likely to see sentiments be much better around the domestic economy and also the cedi largely. So as such, in the medium term, if we should see such corresponding upwards activity on the rating side, and that would be quite positive for the local cedi generally.
Well, in our report, we talked about how the persistent demand pressures are going to impact the cedi's performance negatively for the rest of the week. What's the outlook for the rest of the week from your end, and how long before things normalize, really?
Okay, so from our end, we still see these demand pressures be exerting some depreciatory pressures on the cedi for this week. However, I think what we've noticed is that the central bank it also stands at ready, although not to intervene so much to guide the cedi towards a particular direction. But looking at soundings from the markets on yesterday's trades, we saw that the central bank had some intervention in the market. With that, the cedi was quite stable in yesterday's market. But generally, we still feel these pressures persist. And as such, they may exert some slight or marginal depreciatory pressures on the cedi this week.
All right. Thank you so much. Kwawu Kukumsin there. He is an economic analyst with Data Bank Research. I appreciate your time. Now, the growth of currency outside banks was strong in the last quarter of 2023, a reflection of an ease in inflation during the period. That's according to data from the Bank of Ghana. Here's more in this report. Figures from the central bank indicated that the money supply remained virtually unchanged from January 2023 to September 2023, according to the data. At the 31 billion cedi bracket between January 2023 and September 2023. It, however, shot up in the final quarter, ending the year at 37.6 billion cedis. Meanwhile, demand deposits, usually current and call accounts, also grew strongly in the last quarter of 2023. It ended last year at 84.2 billion cedis. The interest rates on demand deposits, however, remained flat at 2.63%. Similarly, the growth of savings deposits was strong in the final quarter of 2023. Now, the World Bank is currently awaiting Parliament's approval to facilitate the transfer of $300 million in budgetary support for Ghana. This is what Joy Business has picked up from persons working on this facility from the bank in Washington, D.C., USA. George Rafi has more.
Joy Business understands that this is a loan facility, it needs cabinet approval first, as well as Parliament, before the funds can be disbursed. We understand that the Finance Ministry has already secured the required approval from Cabinet. The agreement has now been sent to Parliament for consideration and approval. It's not clear for now whether the World Bank agreement is currently before the Finance Committee and has been approved at that level before the whole House of Parliament considers and approve the deal. After Parliament gives its blessing to this package, the necessary disbursement can be made to government's account at the Bank of Ghana. The World Bank last month approved some $300 million to aid the recovery of Ghana's economy. This was after Ghana passed the first review under the IMF program. But for some, at the time that the Ghana city is going through challenges because of high demand from businesses, resulting in its depreciation, this disbursement coming after Parliament approval may go a long way to turn around the dwindling fortune of the Ghana.
Well, moving on, Valentine's Day is just tomorrow, and businesses will be making some money as people go out of their way to show love to friends and family. But times have changed, and people are having to think twice about how and what they spend on during these challenging times. So what is the anticipation in the hospitality sector? I'm joined on Zoom by President of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr., and Harrison Mati, who is CEO of 1115 Restaurant here in Accra. Good afternoon to you both. I'll start with you, Dr. Akanyamike Jr. How are things shaping up? What is the anticipation amongst hoteliers?
Thank you, Daryl, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. Well, traditionally, the Valentine's Day is one of the biggest times after Christmas and, of course, the Easter period as well. So most of the hotels prepare towards it. I must say, though, that this year in particular, it's been on a rather low key. We are yet to know exactly why. We can suggest some reasons, but we are not very sure of it. But the tempo has been quite low, so we are looking to see what happens tomorrow. Because usually the D-Day itself is where you get to see the actual numbers. And also bear in mind that this is falling on a weekday, a bit of the week for that matter. So it's also possible that some may shift the celebration itself to the weekend. So the hotels are prepared. Some of them have put out special packages for lunch, brunch, and then dinner tomorrow, hoping that our cherished clients will take advantage of that.
Yeah, Harrison, I feel Valentine's Day is subdued this year. I don't see the bars I usually see during this time of the year. And Dr. Akanyamike alluded to that a while ago. I may be wrong, but how upbeat are you about tomorrow as a restaurant operator?
Thank you, Daryl, and good afternoon to you and your cherished listeners. So we are actually also not doing anything special for Val's Day this year. In the past, we've had special Val's Day events. We partner with other events organizers to put up special events, but for some reason, sales have been a bit slow this January and February, so we actually thought it wise not to do any special package. However, to our customers that usually buy from us, we told them that if they walk in on Val's Day, there's a special package of chocolates for them, but we haven't invested in any kind of event this year. Things have been a bit slow this year, actually. Things have been really, really slow in terms of small purchases and all that. So there is no special event from our side as 11:15. However, I think other restaurants are putting up a few acts here and there. The challenge with having an event, if you're a restaurant, is that if you don't charge extra on the meals that you sell on the day of the event, you probably will have to run at a loss because you are going to bring in a live band, which if you're going to pay from the food you sell, it will cost you a bit more a day of celebration. So if you put all these things together, for me, as someone who has been I'm better off not having a special event and just hoping that my customers will come in on a day and buy all the regular menu, and we can also show some love to them.
It looks like your hopes are not high as the day approaches. I want to bring in Dr. Kanyameke Jr. I know we have complained several times about the tough economic situation. It seems to be the cause every year. Harrison just talked about how slow things are this year. But just how tough is it for the industry at this Val's Day season compared to previous years? What has changed?
Well, it's difficult to tell because, before Christmas, for the Christmas season, I did indicate that business had improved quite a lot in the build up to Christmas and then into the new year as well. But you see, the point is that we serve the public. We serve our clients. So when our clients have less disposable income, we feel it in the industry as well. And don't forget that January itself comes with a lot of expenses, school fees included, and people are adjusting to the expenses made during the Christmas. Okay, and of course, with all these issues about taxes here and there, I'm sure everybody is positioning themselves to be sure that they're not run over with the taxes that seems to be coming to a state. So all those things could be a reason why the key is quite low. But like I said, tomorrow is the D-Day, and we may also receive some surprises here and there. Because during the Val's Day, you receive a lot of walk-ins. Not the usual regular customer, but walk-ins where people go out for events and then they decide to go and spend the evening or night in hotels. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, well, we are just being optimistic here, hoping that people make choices overnight on how to spend their Val's Day. Harrison, people are going to be making choices on what to spend their monies on, how to spend their monies. It means businesses have to innovate to get consumers attracted to their products. So I know you are not doing so much, but how are you innovating as a restaurant operator? It is expensive to eat out these days, you know that.
It's actually expensive to even produce because, most of the things we use, those that are locally produced, some are seasonal. So it becomes vegetables, some are very seasonal. Those that are imported, once inflation sets in, prices become stable, so a few things have their prices going up nowadays. So all these plays a role in what we do. But now we are resorting more to social media, see how we can get people. So if we have people sharing their experiences that they have from us, and we're hoping that will invite other people to come. We are also doing some direct phone calls, so there are customers that we are playing. We currently operate at estate. So we are hoping that a lot of people don't want to go out there celebrate, want to spend the night. That is what we are waiting for. We have a monthly activity that we do where we have a live band session. So we are also encouraging our customers that, things might be bought now, but by the end of the month, you will have received some money in your account. So probably you can still celebrate Val's Day at the end of the month.
Well, it's a whole month's affair, isn't it? Dr. Akanyameke Jr., any compromises hoteliers are making so it's a win-win situation for the business and for patrons?
Oh, certainly. During such occasions, the hotels come up with very juicy packages, and I'm sure a lot of our hotels will resort to that. And of course, they've been on the marketing spree to get a lot of their clients to patronize the activities. And don't forget, like my brother said earlier on, I see it more as a week-long celebration starting from tomorrow into the weekend. So there's a lot on offer, and we will appeal to our patrons to pass by the hotels, have some good time, and then let's sleep over some of our worries.
Harrison, I'll give you the last word.
I will just say that the economy is tough, but then we still need to give some comfort to ourselves. So we are encouraging everybody to go out there, show love, grab a chocolate, and also if you could buy in this, don't forget to call your restaurant.
Okay, so operators in the hospitality sector, appealing to you to pamper yourself this month of love, February. You're watching The Marketplace. Thank you, guys. Dr. Akinyamika Jr., who is president of the Ghana Hotels Association, also Harrison Mati, CEO of 1115. Grateful for your time this afternoon. You're watching The Marketplace. Taking a short break. We'll be right back. And welcome back to The Marketplace. Entrepreneurs in Ghana's creative arts industry are asking government to do more to support the operations. According to Project Manager for Arts and Culture at the British Council, Andrew Ntua-Mensah, more investors in the sector will contribute immensely to Ghana's economy. He spoke to Joy Business.
You ask every creative, or if you ask everyone in the business or somebody who wants to come up with an ideal business, first thing is funds, and we look at funds not being the only challenge. The other challenges that we feel are the skills and capacities that the creative should have in order to put out their product and services out there. Talk about marketing, talk about online tools to probably get access to customers, customer service and stuff like that. So these are the challenges that we feel that creatives have, and then the opportunities to network and leverage and collaborate with each other. One of the things too I realize is that a lot of creatives work in silos. There is no collaboration within the creatives, and people want to work on their own. So we feel that when these are surmounted and people begin to work together and leverage on the skills and capacities that each person has.
Now, some stakeholders in Ghana's fintech industry are concerned about the rate at which numerous taxes are affecting the operations. They say this is impacting on cost of operations and are asking government to reassess the tax regime. Chief Executive Officer of eTransact, John Appiah, explained that the sector is experiencing massive growth but needs more support to create jobs.
I've lived in places where I've seen what taxes have been able to do. They've been able to do some good things. So I understand where tax is coming from. They said there's two certain things in life: death and taxes. So taxes will always come. It's tough on us. Yeah, it's tough on us, especially within this fintech space. It's tough on us. I think it's tough on every Ghanaian. Yeah, whatever company you're doing, unless the demand for your product is completely inelastic. I'm using a lot of your economic terms. Yeah, I'm taking you back. Yeah, unless it is, you feel the pinch. Yeah, no one wants to. But I think with everything, James, I think the important things in life is finding equilibrium. So tax can be a force for good, but overtaxing, just like overfishing depletes fish stock,
But do you guys feel you are being overtaxed in any area?
I think we're being adequately taxed, and I know we're on TV, so I have to watch my words. I think no one wants to pay tax, a lot of tax, you know. So I think for now we are okay, you know.
All right, you're watching The Marketplace. Next, your money tip on Money Lab.
Hi, my name is Oheniwa Amwafo Asante, Head of Client Service with Enterprise Insurance. In today's episode of Money Lab, we are going to look at insurance. Insurance is a risk transfer mechanism where one person transfers a potential risk to a company, which is the insurance company, at a particular fee called the insurance premium, so that in the events where the loss occurs, the insurance company can restore the individual or company to their original position before the loss occurred. There are two main headings under insurance. We have the non-life insurance, which talks about motor insurance, property insurance, accident-related insurances, and many more. Whereas we have the life insurance, talking about the person. It pertains to the person or the individual. So this is where we look at life insurances, we look at funeral policies and educational policies. Follow us on the next episodes whilst we delve deeper into the various policies. Thank you.
All right, more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. There you have it behind me, the day's latest stories from over there, including our top story on the demand pressures for dollar to weigh on Cedi this week. Just by way of update, the dollar going for 12 cedis, 80 pesos, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl. Kwawu. Thanks for watching. We'll be back same time tomorrow.